In this video, we'll be covering using groups in our fishing tournament. So that's great for setting up TWTs, side bets, calcuttas in WebPro Tournament Manager. And we've got an existing tournament here that has a real basic setup. We've got a few divisions connected here. We've got a couple anglers under a single team, and some registration fees connected to those divisions. But what we're going to want to actually do here is, let's say we want to add some TWTs to this particular tournament. Let's say we just want to add 2 or 3. What we would use is the tournament groups feature. So that's actually available alongside the divisions, and we can find those under the core tournament settings. So if we click the tournament settings button and we get our setup window here, if we click the divisions tab towards the bottom, you'll see the tournament group. So we've got the ability to enable our groups, and we've got to determine whether our TWTs are going to be individual for our anglers or if they're going to be based on a team level. In our case, we're going to go ahead and set up our TWTs to be on a team level. So we're going to use those team groups. With that enabled, we've got an ability to change the naming convention for the groups. So instead of calling it just team groups, we'll call it TWTs. And we also have the ability to limit the amount of teams that are connected to the TWTs themselves. So we could say that we could limit this to 3 groups, which means that teams would not be able to connect to more than 3 TWTs at a time. And that's also on a TWT or team group level. You can tell the system whether the TWT applies to that limit or not. So you could actually have a handful or 1 TWT that doesn't apply the limit and the rest do. But we're going to leave that open. We're going to turn off the team group limit, and we're going to just save our new team groups into the software. And with that saved, you'll see that our team groups now appear here on the tournament setup page with our little label TWTs. And we're going to add a couple of these guys here. So adding a team group is as easy as, we'll just call it TWT number 1. And a lot of times people put a dollar value next to the TWT, since they usually have a dollar value to enter into those TWTs. And it makes it a little bit more accessible, a little bit more understandable for your staff, and a little bit more understandable to those people who are registering online for those TWTs. So I like to put a dollar value. So let's say this TWT is worth, it costs $100 to enter. So I'm going to put 100, not 10. And I'm going to add that TWT, and I'm going to add another one here alongside that one. We'll call it TWT2. And we'll make the TWT2 $250 to enter. But you can, of course, give these any name you want. So now, if I were to click the TWTs that I have here, I can actually start entering teams into that TWT. Right now, we only have 1 team on this tournament. But I can put that test boat 1 into that TWT by just checking the box and hitting Save Changes. By the way, here's the options where you could actually change the name, and you could change the limit if it's part of the limit or not, if you have that group limit activated in those core settings. We're not going to change those. We're going to go back to the group, and we're going to include test boat 1 into the TWT. So that $100 and that $250 for the TWT, that's not automatically added into your registration fee just yet. We got to do one more step to get that in there. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to the team registration fees down here. And by the way, if you do not see the registration fees listed here on the tournament setup page, you got to go into tournament settings. You got to go to payments, and you have to enable receiving payments for that to show up. We've got that enabled already. So we're going to click the team registration fees. We're going to enable that if it's not already. And we're going to clear out what we've got here. We don't need a registration fee based on the number of anglers and $100 per head. But we're gonna get rid of those. So we're going to click each one of these items in this calculation, just kind of clear it out. And we're going to add to this calculation now that it's empty. And we're going to put in our team groups as the sole item in this calculation for our registration fee. And the TWT $100 is worth $100. and our TWT number 2 is 250. And we'll save those amounts. We'll save those changes. And now that becomes part of the cost of registration for each team. And that can be enabled on your online registration form as well. If we were to receive a payment for test boat 1, now that we know that it's in the TWT $100 one, we can click test boat 1 and we can hit receive payment. And you're going to see that we've got a charge here. Looks like we've got some charges, per angler charges, which are based on that they are adults and juniors in those divisions. But on top of that, and that's set separately, by the way, that's in the under registration fees angler. We also have $100 that's owed by test boat 1 directly, and that's because they are part of the TWT 1 for $100. If we were to go to TWT 2 and we add them into TWT 2, they would be added an additional $250 onto their registration fee. We can also change the TWT status by clicking test boat 1, by editing their team by clicking that edit team button, and clicking the TWTs tab, where we can select what TWTs this particular team is part of. So we're going to make test boat 1 part of both. And when we go to receive payment again, we'll see that that is now part of their registration, both the TWTs, and at a total cost of $350 to their registration. Setting up a team, a TWT as a team group, or a side bet or calcutta, is that simple. All we really need to do next, if we want to make a leaderboard for that particular TWT or for any of these TWTs, all we need to do is jump over to the live results page, and we'll close out. If we see this little access window, we'll close that out. And I'm going to edit a leaderboard, but you could as easily click add new component and add a team leaderboard to this page to make it your new TWT leaderboard. We're going to change the first team leaderboard here we have here, top teams by points. And we're going to change this to TWT1. And this will be our winners for TWT1. And this will be based on our biggest fish. And we will filter it by TWT1. And that means that only the teams that are in that TWT are going to show up on this leaderboard. And so it's the biggest fish for those who are in TWT1. And we'll hit save changes. And that becomes our TWT1 leaderboard. So it's as simple as that. That's how you set up TWTs, calcuttas, side bets in using team groups and angler groups in your tournament.